Hey everyone, Harris Rubenstein here for Chat Sports. With MLB opening day right around the corner, we're going to break down division by division and give you a preview for the upcoming 2018 season. And we start with the most notorious division in all of baseball, the AL East, headlined by the New York Yankees acquiring NL MVP Giancarlo Stanton this offseason. It's sure to be plenty competitive, so let's start with our last team in the division, and unfortunately, it is still the Tampa Bay Rays. They did trade away Evan Longoria after a long time as the face of the franchise. My baby cousin is a Rays fan, and he was sobbing when he heard the trade, as is the rest of the Rays fan base. But a new era has started for the Tampa Bay Rays, led by pitcher Chris Archer. He will be on the mound again for his age 29 season. Were a lot of trade rumors this offseason about whether or not they were going to move him, but he does start the season as the Rays ace. Their best player now is Kevin Kiermaier, the defensive standout in center field, signed a big contract a year ago, and he is looking for a less injury-riddled season this year. He only played about 100 games last season, so Kevin Kiermaier returning to the lineup will give the Tampa Bay Rays a big boost, but they are unfortunately going to end up at about 76 and 86. Our projected records, by the way, are an average of what Fangraphs and Zips have been giving us. So the Rays coming in at 5th in our projected standings. Let's move to 4th, and it's the Baltimore Orioles. Their biggest offseason move came, well, yesterday. They signed former Rays pitcher Alex Cobb. Big time get for them. Will probably end up being the best pitcher on the entire squad unless Dylan Bundy or Kevin Gausman end up blowing up. Their best player obviously is Manny Machado, one of the best players in all of baseball. He's a superstar defender and also one of the cleanest hitters that you will find in the game. Look for him to have a huge season, and remember, he might end up getting a new contract this offseason, maybe from the New York Yankees. So contract year Manny Machado is a little bit scary, but unfortunately the Orioles, if you look at their overall roster, it isn't really anything to call home about. It's kind of Manny Machado and everybody else. Our projected record for them is 77 and 85, coming in at 4th in the AL East. Let's move to 3rd, and we have the Toronto Blue Jays, who I guess their best offseason move was trading for Randal Grichuk, but it was also just getting healthy. Both Josh Donaldson and Troy Tulowitzki dealt with injuries this past offseason. And look, with Jose Bautista out, they needed someone to come in and get some offense. Randal Grichuk will add a little bit of hitting and a little bit of defense, but for now, that's all they really have done. Their best pitcher is the fiery Marcus Stroman, who blew up last year for the Team as the Team USA's starting pitcher. They did great in the World Baseball Classic, and he was one of the headliner players. Their best player is obviously Josh Donaldson, the great bringer of rain, who has been an MVP candidate for about the last 4 to 5 seasons. Look for him to have another bounce-back season. He did have a couple of injuries last year. I expect him to get right back up on the horse and be back in AL MVP candidacy. Let's move to number 2. It's the Boston Red Sox, led by alpha male Chris Sale, as he likes to call himself. Had one of the best first halves in all of baseball last season and faded down the stretch. A lot of innings for him, but eclipsed 300 strikeouts for the first time in his career and the first time for Red Sox pitcher since Pedro Martinez. Their notable offseason move was picking up JD Martinez, the slugger from the Tigers and the D-backs, who blew up last year once he went to the National League and helped get the Diamondbacks to the playoffs. Big-time offensive get for the Red Sox. They needed someone in that cleanup spot, and JD Martinez is the perfect fit for them. The best player is Mookie Betts. He had a little bit of a down season last year in terms of his offensive output, but his defense was absolutely off the charts. He has cemented himself as possibly the best defensive outfielder, maybe in all of baseball, but certainly the best defensive right fielder that the game currently has. Let's get to our top team, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can probably expect it is the New York Yankees. Our projected record for them is 95 and 67, and well, that has a lot to do with the fact that they traded for the NL MVP Giancarlo Stanton, the biggest move of the entire MLB offseason. Adding him to Aaron Judge and Gary Sanchez gives the New York Yankees a modern-day murderer's row. It will be a very scary lineup for any offense, or any defense, I should say, going up against them. But don't look past their pitching core. I think that, led by Luis Severino, they should have a really solid rotation, and that bullpen might end up being one of the best in the MLB. If Aroldis Chapman can kind of get his stuff together, then that bullpen is going to absolutely mow people down. So let's go through our projected standings. We have the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, the Orioles, and then the Tampa Bay Rays coming in last with the projected standings sitting there right next to them. It'll be a fun season for the AL East. But let's get into the top 5 position players in the entire division. And we mentioned it before with the Blue Jays, and we'll mention him again. It's Josh Donaldson coming in at number 5. Had a little bit of a down year in terms of his RBI output. That Blue Jays lineup really underperformed. but I think that Josh Donaldson comes in this year. He's healthy. A lot of offseason drama last year as well, so I think he's pushed that to the side. I think Josh Donaldson's going to come in and have a huge year for the Blue Jays. They need him to. They are going to go by the tempo he sets. With Edwin Encarnacion and Jose Bautista out for the past 2 years, or leaving for other teams and other opportunities, I think the team is now Josh Donaldson's, and if he doesn't get traded, look for him to be the catalyst for the entire Blue Jays offense. Let's go to number 4, and it's Mookie Betts, age 25 this year, had a great year last year in terms of his defense. Offense took a step back, hit only .264 with 24 home runs, still had 100 RBIs due to the Red Sox lineup, but that .803 OPS is a little bit lower than what you would expect of a player Mookie Betts' caliber. I think he's going to explode this year. He finally has some people in the lineup that can protect him. JD Martinez coming at that third spot, though Mookie Betts, as of right now, is projected to come in as the leadoff hitter for the Red Sox, but that entire lineup is going to be absolutely ridiculous. Expect him to get a lot of RBIs, expect his home run numbers to go up, and I think that OPS will come up as well. He was an MVP candidate last year. Do not be surprised if he ends up as the number 3 guy. Let's go to Aaron Judge at number 3. We had a lot of discussion over whether or not it should be Judge or Stanton at number 3 or number 2, but we have Judge at number 3. That incredible breakout season last year, 52 home runs, 114 RBIs, though he faded badly down the stretch. He did reperform in the playoffs really well, but I think that second half slide is a little indicative of pitchers starting to figure him out. I think he's not going to have as crazy of a season as he did last year, but about 50 home runs and 120 RBIs is still a fantastic season for anyone at age 25. Let's move to number 2. It's Giancarlo Stanton. Look at him in a Yankees hat. I can't even believe that this day actually came. But look, he had a fantastic year last year. 59 home runs, 132 RBIs, and an OPS of over 1,000. I think he'll have a similar year this year, about 53 home runs. I don't know if he's going to get to the 60 mark, but another fantastic season for Stanton. He will definitely be an AL MVP candidate. But our number 1 guy in the division, and also my pick for the AL MVP, is Manny Machado. Look, contract year players in the MLB are scary enough. Now it's Manny Machado in a contract season. Oh boy. Very, very excited to see what Manny Machado is going to put up. You see his projected stats. I have him hitting .292, 38 home runs, 160 RBIs, and an OPS of .950. He really got off to a slow start last year. I think he kind of just really didn't care. If you watched his play, it was really lackadaisical, and then once we got past the All-Star break, Manny Machado absolutely blew up and had 20 home runs in the final half of the season. He was spectacular, and I think in a contract season, Manny Machado is going to absolutely blow up. So let's review our top 5 players in the AL East. We got Manny Machado, Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, Mookie Betts, and Josh Donaldson. But as important as position players are, sometimes it all comes down to defense. So let's break down our top 5 pitchers in the AL East now, and we start at number 5, and it's a closer. Breathe, it's okay. It's actually Craig Kimbrell, who had a fantastic season for the Red Sox last year. A 1.43 ERA, 126 strikeouts in only 69 innings, and coming in with 35 saves. I would expect a similar year from him, if not maybe a little bit of a better one in terms of his overall save output. The team will get more wins, and with so, Craig Kimbrell will probably end up with more saves. I think his ERA will drop a little bit. I have him coming in at 2.28 with only 101 strikeouts this year. Look, he struck out 50% of the batters that he faced last year. I think that is just going to be a natural regression. So only 101 strikeouts for him this year and a couple more walks. But Craig Kimbrell, age 29, is going to have a pretty ridiculous season. Let's move to number 4, the breakout star for the pitchers of the New York Yankees last year's Luis Severino. Only 24 years old, had a sub-3 ERA with 230 Ks and 190 innings. I think he's going to take a little bit of a step back this year. I think he's going to have a 3.4 ERA. The wins and losses will shuffle around. He's going to get more starts this year, but with 188 innings pitched and 218 projected strikeouts, Luis Severino will be the ace that the New York Yankees have been so desperately been looking for. Let's move to number 3, and it's Marcus Stroman. I love this guy. I think he has some of the best emotion of any pitcher in all of baseball. Had a weird year last year, a couple injuries to work through. The team wasn't all that good. He only came out with a 13-9 record with a 3.09 ERA. I think his ERA will stay about the same, but I would expect a big-time output in terms of his overall innings. I have him coming in at 2.02, but I don't think he's going to deal with injuries this year. I think he's going to be more effective. I think he's going to walk less people, and I would expect that strikeout number that I have of only 162. I would take the over on that number if I was a betting man, but for now, I have him at 162 strikeouts and the 3rd best pitcher in the AL East. Let's move to number 2, and it's Chris Archer, coming in at 29 years old, so his prime is starting to get into it. We'll see what his prime is going to look like. Had a 4.07 ERA last year. Guys were really connecting well against him. He had struggled with the long ball ball, but his K numbers have been absolutely ridiculous. 249 strikeouts for Chris Archer last year. I think he's going to come up with a similar number of about 238. He's always pitched for about 200 innings for the past 3 seasons. I would expect that to stay. Look, if you're looking for a pitcher like Chris Archer, look no further than someone like Carlos Martinez on the St. Louis Cardinals. Very similar numbers, very similar styles of pitching. I think Chris Archer might end up getting traded by the deadline, but for now, he is our number 2 pitcher in the AL East. And our number 1 guy is Chris Sale, who had an absolutely spectacular season last year. 17-8 with a 2.9 ERA, came in at the number 2 spot for the AL Cy Young, had 308 strikeouts in 214 innings. Like I said earlier, the first Boston Red Sox pitcher to have 300 strikeouts since Pedro Martinez. I think he's going to hit that number again. There's no reason that Chris Sale shouldn't get another 300 strikeout season. I think his innings pitch will come down a little bit. They have talked about how in the second half, if they are shooing for the playoffs, that they want to reel in Chris Sale's inning numbers a little bit. So I think that'll decrease slightly, but I think his overall ERA will stay around the same, about of a 2.85. Expect another great season for Chris Sale and possibly getting that long-awaited Cy Young Award. So let's re-break down our top 5 pitchers in the AL East. We have Chris Sale, Chris Archer, Marcus Stroman, Luis Severino, and Craig Kimbrell. Let's get into our breakout player of 2018. We have a lot of great players and a lot of great pitchers, but I think that this guy is going to come onto the scene this year. He did a lot last year, and he might have ruined Aroldis Chapman for good, and that is Rafael Devers, the young third baseman for the Red Sox. Only 21 years old, but he had 284, 10 home runs, 30 RBIs, and an 819 OPS in limited time last year. He was absolutely fantastic and gave the Red Sox the bat at third base that they had not had since Adrian Beltre. He was so good that they ended up cutting Pablo Sandoval in the middle of the season. Now, obviously, Pablo Sandoval was cut for multiple different reasons, but when you have a kid with his kind of talent, you need to give him everyday playing time. I think Devers' defense is going to be what holds him back as an overall star in the league, but he's only 21 years old. There's a lot of room for growth, and Brian Butterfield, the Red Sox position coach, has done a lot of great things with a lot of bad fielders in the past, so expect Devers to become a better defender over time. He is my breakout player for the AL East of 2018. And my disappointing player for 2018, you got to have a breakout one, you got to have a disappointer, and I have Chris Davis of the Baltimore Orioles. Look, this guy's been on the decline for the past couple years, 32 years old, strikes out like nobody's business. He does hit a lot of home runs, but at some point that's going to come to an end. I think he had an okay year last year, but his average is just too low. His strikeout numbers are astronomical, but I think this year, 203 with 24 home runs, 65 RBIs, and a 740 OPS is all you're going to see from Chris Davis. I think his decline is going to continue, and that contract that the Orioles gave him a couple years ago, I'm good that they stretched it out so they pay him $1 million for like the next 50 years or something, but I think that contract is going to look worse and worse as Chris Davis gets older and older. So let's break down our projected standings one more time before we say goodbye. We have the New York Yankees coming in first, the Red Sox coming in second and becoming a wild card team. We have the Blue Jays at third, the Orioles at fourth, and the Tampa Bay Rays coming in last. But we want to know from you guys who will win the AL East. Let us know in the YouTube comments. We would love to hear from you guys and who you think will end up winning one of the most notorious and difficult divisions to win in all of baseball. So again, let us know in the YouTube comments. And while you're at it, subscribe to the Chat Sports YouTube page and give us a thumbs up on the video as well. But that's going to do it for me. You can follow me on Twitter at SportsDean for all of your MLB news and updates. But for now, we'll see ya.